The following BLTV program is brought to you by O'Flaherty Law. Please enjoy.
Greetings of the day, my fellow listeners, and welcome to another edition of Seize Your Business. My name is Steve Eschbach. I am your host. I am the president of Transworld Business Advisors here in Naperville, Illinois. I also am an equity owner of the Business Lounge, which is a shared office space here in Chicago. For more information about how you can become a member, we have about 4 owners and about 2 or 3 dozen members, and it's a great resource for business owners to get together, exchange ideas, and then get together socially from time to time. I can tell you that many of our members are anxiously looking forward to reopening, so we can do that more on a physical one-on-one. We have been having a few occasional virtual one-on-ones, but I think everyone is ready to go back to the in-person environment when the situation will let us do so. And this episode here is going to be talking about the Naperville Public Library. I'm delighted to have Lindsay Harmon, who works in the business reference area of the Nichols Library, one of 3 libraries here in Naperville. First of all, Lindsay, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, as a last resort, before we get into our discussion, I have found during the course of my living here in Naperville, and I have a few more years elsewhere, is that many people overlook the library as a resource to help you with not only, of course, reading books, but if you're in job search. And for me, now being in business for the past 5 or 6 years, it is a huge resource to help in my business development efforts. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that from the expert, Lindsay. But first of all, Lindsay, you are the Business Reference Librarian at the Nichols Public Library. How long have you been doing that?
Well, I've officially been the business librarian since last Monday, when my predecessor, Kent Palmer, retired. But I did work with Kent very closely over the past 3 years since I joined the Naperville Public Library back in 2018.
Yeah, and prior to that, you also did a little bit in the adult library area, I believe, correct?
Yeah, so prior to that, my experience was mostly in college and university libraries. So I was at Lewis University for 3 years as the business librarian, and I did marketing and outreach for them. And before that, I spent about 8 or 9 years at art schools. So I worked at the School of the Art Institute in downtown Chicago and another smaller art school called the American Academy of Art. So I did that for almost the first 10 years of my library career.
Wow. So we're going to go and rewind your videotape even further than that, if you don't mind. So let's talk a little bit about Lindsay in your formative years. Where were you born and raised? And tell us a little bit about how your family and your parents had some significance as to where you are today.
Sure. So I'm from Bartlett, Illinois, which is about 20 minutes from here. My parents still live there. I have a younger brother who also lives in Naperville now, so we're all very close together. I went to high school in Elgin and wanted to study creative writing. So I went to the University of Iowa for college to do that, and figured out that maybe there wasn't a super lucrative career in creative writing. So I did the next best thing. I majored in English and journalism because, that's where the money is. And that was kind of how I found my path into librarianship.
Well, that is so interesting. It's funny you mentioned that you didn't find your path to a lucrative career in creative writing, but I'll tell you that when I went to the University of Connecticut back in the day it's way, way back, but I was the last 4-year graduate of the accounting program at the University of Connecticut because they realized that many folks in the accounting coursework, they lacked a lot of writing experience. So they added a 5th year to the program. And
really?
Part of it had to do with learning how to write, believe it or not.
That's interesting. And that's great, because I think that's definitely a skill that business schools and colleges in general don't spend.
Yeah. Definitely. So you got your degree in arts and you were going to do creative writing. How did that all transition into getting to become a librarian? How did that all happen?
Well, there were a few steps. I worked at a library when I was in high school and shelved books and loved it. The librarians there used to say that I should go to library school, and I thought that was crazy, and there was no way I was going to do that. So I did my bachelor's degree in English and journalism. I worked in publishing for about 5 years, which was sort of my next, if I can't write the books, then I'll edit the books.
Yeah.
There is not a lot of publishing in the Chicago area other than like professional and textbook. So actually I lived in St. Louis for a couple of years. I edited pharmacy books. I moved back to Chicago. I edited business textbooks. I edited dentistry books. And after a couple of years of looking at pictures of really awful teeth, I decided that maybe I needed a career change. So I was going to be a children's librarian. And I wanted to work at elementary schools, but you have to have a teaching certificate. So I was going to have to go to school and get my master's in librarianship and a teaching certificate. And I had a guest lecturer in one of my introductory courses who was a community college librarian. And after listening to his presentation, I decided colleges and universities were maybe a better fit for me. So.
Sounds really good. Before we get back now into your current situation, what did your parents do, and did your family have any influence as to where you wound up today?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So my dad worked in insurance. So he worked for, he retired from Aon insurance company, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. And my mom worked in real estate, and she was an office manager for a couple of different companies, including Employee Assistance Program most recently. They both were very big into education. They both had college degrees. They wanted to make sure that my brother and I did as well. And were also very supportive of me when I decided I wanted to get a creative writing degree. So that was great as well.
Yeah, well, that sounds so very interesting. And I can see now behind you, there seems to be bookshelves. So you
Yes.
obviously are in your home turf. So the one thing I wanted to focus in, and Seize Your Business is primarily designed to interview business owners and to get a sense as to where they've been and how they became the success they are today. But in my opinion, I think many business owners, in fact, many people, very generally overlook how valuable a library is in terms of resources. Now, of course, when we all went to school, we had to use libraries, whether it's the school library or the local library, to do homework assignments and whatnot. But then as you move up the ranks into your high school, college, and then you're out about working, there are just so many things that the library provides for everyone that I don't think business owners really understand it. So let's focus a little bit. I know I was in job search quite a bit, and I did not realize how much resources the library has in terms of assisting with job search. So let's talk a little bit about what you have inside your library that can help job seekers look forward to their next career stop.
Sure. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I mean, I've worked in libraries, but I've lived in Naperville for several years before I started working here, and had no idea a lot of these resources existed. So a lot of the resources that we have for job seekers as well as for businesses are through our website. So we subscribe to a couple of different databases that either will allow you to help you prepare your resume and cover letter, your practice interviewing skills. There's something called Brainfuse Job Now, which actually has live tutors at the other end. So you can, submit your resume for feedback, or you can practice, interviewing skills with a live person. And then we've also got some resources to help you figure out what companies are out there in the industry you want to work in, to figure out who the contact people are, find their contact information so you can reach out to them. We've got some industry specific databases that can give you background information on questions you should ask or things that you should know so you sound knowledgeable when you're interviewing. And then we've got business librarians and business services librarians at all three buildings that can assist people one-on-one. So we can show you how to use the resources. We can direct you to different local resources. And we've got connections with places like the Career Networking Center here in Naperville. So we do some joint programming with them and stuff like that as well.
I heard the words career and networking center. I'm on the board there, so I totally agree that that's a vital resource.
Excellent.
And by the way, that's another nonprofit local organization that does partner with the library.
Yep.
Now, now, one of the things I want our audience to really listen in on and remember is that you're a phone call away and you are more than willing to give an hour appointment to anyone looking to learn more about what the resources are and how to effectively use them. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And yeah, we do appointments over the phone. We do appointments in person, so you can come to the library. And we do a lot of Zoom right now, so we can do a Zoom appointment where I can share my screen and show you, how to use these resources and searches that will apply to your particular situation.
Right. So you also subscribe to another service called Lindacom. Is that correct?
Yeah. They actually changed names recently, so they are LinkedIn Learning now. But that's another
Ah.
resource that you can access through our website and create a profile with them and do all kinds of tech training and other classes that way.
Yeah, and I'll add a little bit to that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but don't you have programs to become certified in Excel and Word and Microsoft Office products? Is
Yes.
that right?
Mm-hmm.
So those of you out there who think you're a little weak in some of those software skills, do not hesitate. Reach out to your library because that is a vital resource to help you become more familiar with that.
Definitely.
And it's critically important. So we have a little bit more in way of services that the Naperville Library offers to two types of business owners. One of them are startup, brand new, out of the box, right? And that would be your NeighborLaunch program.
Yep.
And then another program that I'm a part of with you,
Yep.
it's called the Naperville Mastermind Program, which is for owners who have been around for a little bit longer, are actually generating some revenue and hopefully a bottom line that is above zero, not below zero. So there are different different courses, if you will, or different programs designed to help you at the stage you are at. Now, let's first start on the Mastermind series. You have a couple, three different groups.
We have 2 different groups right now, and they each have between 5 and 10 participants, I think. They each meet once a month, so they're alternating Thursdays. So there's a second Thursday of the month group that meets, and then a third Thursday of the month group that
Yeah.
meets.
And critically important, I think, Lindsay, to that is that you only have 5 to 10 members because I'm going to characterize this in a way that I think everyone will understand. And you either correct me or add to it if I need to be supplemented. But it's sort of like having your own mini board of directors because many small business owners who have been around a couple, 3 years, they don't have the resources of an expanded executive team with which to bounce off ideas on. So the Mastermind series is designed to get groups of business owners together to share experiences, to seek advice from others who may have been there and done that. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct. So the idea is that it's a set group of people. So once you're in, and we expect you to participate every month because the idea is to get to know the other business owners, to get to understand their business, so that you can provide feedback to each other. You're kind of familiar with everybody's business model and what you're trying to do, so you can be kind of that advisory board or sounding board. Informally. So we've got the 2 groups that meet. They've been meeting regularly for, about 1.5 years now, because we started in March 2020.
Yeah.
And so everybody knows each other, is familiar with each other's businesses, and can give feedback to each other.
So I could certainly vouch for that because I'm a participant in one of the programs you run, and it's a great resource. And it's in some respects, it's kind of regimented. You do have educational programs to cover. In some respects, it's just a give and take, or in some respects, it's show me your website, will help you out. Show me a case study, will help you out. It's very, very fluid, and it's designed to encourage people to share what their concerns are, solicit feedback. Is there anything I'm missing in the Mastermind program?
No, I think you've kind of hit the nail on the head with that. I mean, yeah, the idea is just to tailor the experience to the participants. So, we try to have some kind of educational component, but really it's, whatever the participants want to talk about. If they've got issues that they want to discuss,
Right.
we try to make that front and center.
Yeah, and there's also a related Facebook group page as well to share ideas, because you only meet once a month. So you've got 29, 30 or 30 other 30, well, yeah, 29 or 30 other days to kind of share ideas.
Right.
So the Mastermind program, that's one, and that's designed for the owner who's kind of been there, been established. Tell us a little bit about the NeighborLaunch program. That's designed for people who are just starting up, maybe even people who are not even started up yet, but trying to get ideas. Tell us a little bit more about the NeighborLaunch program.
Sure. So NeighborLaunch is the business startup services center here at the Nichols Library in downtown Naperville. And there's a few components. So we partner with SCORE Fox Valley and the mentors from there. We've got kind of a core group from SCORE who come over to do the programming with us. So we have monthly roundtable discussions. So right now we have the masterminds 2 Thursdays a month. And then another Thursday each month we have an open roundtable. So that's for new business startups and people thinking about starting up. And that's kind of an open discussion. So people come with their questions, and there's business librarians and SCORE mentors who can answer them. And then for people who are looking for kind of a more structured experience, we have the NeighborLaunch Academy, which right now is a series of 6 workshops that are offered on a quarterly basis. So we're kind of right in the middle of a workshop series right now. And that really takes people through the process of starting a business, from business conceptualization. We do that using the Lean business model canvas kind of as a tool to help people think through their business idea and how to make it viable. And then we go through financial planning, we go through operations, business planning, strategic marketing planning, and sales. And the workshops are designed to give people a starting point and some foundational knowledge in all those areas, because a lot of times people who are starting a business are not necessarily coming in with an MBA or a lot of a business background. A lot of times they have an idea, and we're trying to help them position themselves for success with that idea.
Yeah, and Lindsay, let's not leave it incorrectly in the minds of our listeners. The NeighborLaunch Academy is not a go to class, take notes and learn. Don't you give them homework with which they've got to practice what you're trying to inform them with, right? They have
Absolutely. Yeah. So this is kind of because of the pandemic and moving to Zoom, we've changed the format a little bit. So before it was about a 16-week intensive, once a week, 2 hours a night with homework in between. Right now, it's a little more participant driven in the sense that, each workshop we present the information, and then it's kind of up to the participant to complete the assignments, and then they're encouraged to meet with a SCORE mentor or a business librarian to help them, to critique their progress and to help them get where they need to be.
Yeah, so I'm going to let our audience in on a little secret, but some of this they can access to their other local library. So Naperville Library subscribes to a number of sources. You've got Reference Solutions.
Yep.
You've got LinkedIn Learn. What is it? It was Linda. What is it now called?
It was Lynda.com, and now it's LinkedIn Learning. So I think LinkedIn bought Lynda, and that's what happened.
And you got Brainfuse.
Yeah.
You got a whole host of other software. Now, if you, an individual, were to subscribe to those services, you really couldn't afford it. You're talking about tens of thousands of dollars of subscription-based software that will assess or assist you in doing what you're doing.
Absolutely.
And now, even though someone may not be a Naperville resident, if they just happen to be in downtown Naperville, walk through the door, go on to one of the shared computers, they have access to all that, don't they?
They have access to all of that stuff. And in the NeighborLaunch Academy and our programs as well, you don't have to live in Naperville. You don't have to have a Naperville library card. The only thing that you would need the card to access would be the resources from home. So if you are in the library, you can access everything that we offer, get, all the information that you need.
Yeah, and in fairness to our other local communities, they they have libraries where they subscribe to, in some cases, most, if not all of the same ones that we here in Naperville do, but they'll have similar resources to research companies, to
Yeah.
learn technology, things of that sort. So the point being is that our audience needs to be aware that you should not dismiss the library. Granted, the internet today is something that you can access from anywhere, but the library does subscribe to services that you can't get on your own. So
Definitely.
yeah, I would encourage our listeners, and I'm sure you would too, Lindsay, that take advantage of your local library and just take it to, use whatever you can coming out of there.
Absolutely. And as you know, libraries in Illinois are funded by property taxes. So whether you think you are or not, you're paying for it. You might as well get the most out of it.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit more about the Naperville Library Program. There's more than one. There's Nichols downtown. Tell us about the other two you've got in the neighborhood.
Sure. So we have 95th Street Library, which is in South Naperville near Neuqua Valley High School. It is a little bit of it's a newer building than Nichols and a little bit bigger. They've got a little more space to work with. So that library has amazing tech resources. So there is a sound recording studio inside the 95th Street Library and a green screen room for making videos. Both of those can be used by the general public. You have to do a little orientation, but once you do, you can record podcasts, you can create videos, you can do all kinds of tech stuff. We've also got the Naper Boulevard branch, which is near 75th and Naper, and kind of in the southeast side of town, which is more of a neighborhood branch. It's a little smaller, but all three of the buildings have access to the digital resources that we talked about. They have book collections, they have librarians that know all kinds of stuff. And so they're kind of strategically placed all around the city of Naperville, so you can find a library.
I had forgotten about your recording studio. So this, in the interest of full disclosure, is not being recorded in your studio. It's
Right.
recorded in my home office, but that's always good to know. And the other thing too is that that's available for anyone who wants to take advantage of it. Of course, you probably have to schedule an appointment. You probably have to schedule an orientation to get to understand how to use it, correct?
Yeah, you have to schedule the orientation, and I think they're doing them on Zoom right now. And then once you do that, I believe if you have a library card, you can make an advance reservation. Otherwise, they also take walk-ins if nobody's using it. So you can just drop by the library too, and if it's available, you can get right to work.
So normally a podcast host knows the answers to the questions that he or she will ask. I don't know the answer to this question, but does the 95th Street Library have software to edit the videos that are recorded, or?
Yes, they do. Yeah. Actually, I think all three of our libraries have the video editing software.
Oh my goodness. All right. So audience, take advantage of these programs that are available. And again, if you're not a Naperville resident, I am sure that the local library in the community that you live in certainly has similar, maybe the same resources there. Hey, Lindsay, we're approaching the end of our podcast time allotment, which I wish I had more time to talk to you about all the amazing stuff that you do there. But is there anything we haven't covered that you want the audience to know about?
Just that, libraries in general and librarians here in Naperville are available to help with all of these kinds of things. I know some people have, a little bit of an outdated idea of what libraries are and what libraries do. But, we're not here to shush you. We're here to help you find information. We're here to help you achieve the goals that you're trying to set. One thing I do want to mention about NeighborLaunch in particular here at Nichols, we also have a co-working space, which recently reopened. So if you are working from home and are not feeling very inspired, or if you're like me and you've got kids at home and it's hard to find a quiet space to study or to work, we have a co-working space that's open anytime the library is open. It's got quiet areas, it's got Wi-Fi, it's got, places to plug in and places to work collaboratively in small groups. So the buildings are great spaces to do work if you're a business person or if you're trying to get stuff done. And we're happy to have you here.
So I can tell you that I've had a number of business listing meetings. I have seller interviews at your library. So yeah, it definitely is a resource. I do have my own office, but I'm telling you, sometimes the library is sort of like neutral turf, if you will, for us to get together. Last but not least, Lindsay, where are we going to go find out more about you? It could be either the library or you on LinkedIn. How can we go find out more about Lindsay?
Sure. So for the library, go to NeighborLaunch.org, and then you can find out about all the resources that we have here. And you can find me on LinkedIn. My name is Lindsay Harmon, and that's Harmon.
That'd be great. And you'll find some information related to the narrative that will go along with this video podcast. Lindsay, thank you so much for sharing the wealth of information that you and the library has. I appreciate it. Audience, I'm sure that you appreciate what you may have learned here today from Lindsay. And by all means, she's available. So reach out if you want to give her a call and see how she and her team members can give you that one-on-one assistance that you need to seize your business. Thanks for joining, and be sure to join us for our next edition. Take care.
Thank you.